Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Excellent jam, Wave.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do dede. Luta munulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello?
Busel mu fine.
What?
Busel mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Accent Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave. Busel mu fine? Wave. Your money is yours.
On Tuesday, the 5th of August, 2025, it's coffee time on West Coast Radio. Now, Dr. Ismail Assise is the Minister of Information, Media and Broadcasting Services. He's starting early today. It's not even 8:30 in the Gambia yet because he has another event to go to, an important one. So let's cross over to him straight away. And as always, I don't know who your tailor is and, who selects your wardrobe for you, but
you like to tease me.
I should be put in contact with the person. Is it a woman or a man?
You like to tease me.
Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, Peter. Good morning. I'm saying hello to every Gambian, both here in the Gambia, but also those in the diaspora, particularly those who listen to you every morning. I'd like to also take this opportunity to wish someone special a very happy birthday, and that is the First Lady of the Republic of the Gambia, Madam Fatoumata Baba.
Are you going to the cake cutting? Is that why you decided not to come on at 9 o'clock? So you'll go early and be part of the merriment?
As usual, she does a lot of philanthropic work. She invests a lot in education and health, particularly among young people, children. So I think there's an event this morning that she's organizing, doing some trainings for some young people for the week as part of her birthday celebrations. And I'm invited to the opening ceremony of that training. So we wish her a happy birthday.
Let me join you in wishing her a very happy birthday. So Fatouba Baro, happy birthday to you.
All right, Peter, good morning.
Good morning.
I think we'll start with the updates from government. Mm-hmm. The first update is from the presidency. His Excellency, the President Ambaro, launched or successfully launched the inaugural Sahel Governance Forum. This took place in Banjul from the 30th to the 31st of July, 2025. It attracted lots of former heads of states, amongst which was Goodluck Jonathan, who was here in town.
Yeah, he's a friend of the Gambia.
Exactly. And all the high-level dignitaries from across the region. Now, the forum reaffirmed the Gambia's leadership and commitment to strengthening democratic governance, peace, security, and regional stability in the Sahel. Now, for those who don't know what the Sahel is, it is this geographical area which spans from the Red Sea to the Atlantic Ocean, about close to 6,000 kilometers. Now, it is the transition zone from the more arid, dry north to the more humid, wet, also green south. Now, why is the Sahel problematic? They've been encountering some security issues since in the post-colonial era. It's because of one of them is colonial legacy. Take a country like Chad, for example, or Sudan, where when the colonialists sat in Berlin in 1885 to demarcate the continent, they didn't take consideration of local realities. So what they did was they pitted communities and kingdoms in one territory, and they call it Sudan or Chad. For example, in Sudan, that is why Sudan has some Arab people living in Sudan, but also some Africans living in Sudan, the Bantu tribes. And the seat of power is in N'Djamena, in the south.
N'Djamena?
Yeah, in Chad. Now, in Sudan, the same thing. That's why you have South Sudan. Then you have the North Sudan. Before it was one country, but the seat of power is in, what's the capital of Sudan again? Khartoum. That's where the seat of power is. So because of some of these colonial legacies, the Sahel has been a problem. Recently, it's been a breeding ground for terrorists, insecurity, organized crime, migration, you name it. So that is why it's important for this governance forum to take place so that we can find collective solutions to some of these collective problems that the countries in the Sahel are facing.
I thought you were going to give the classic example of Rwanda and Burundi.
Yes, Rwanda and Burundi.
Where the division meant that on one side you had one tribe constituting the majority and being the minority.
A classic example of also Rwanda. All this is a colonial legacy because when they sat in Berlin, some of them who decided how to slice the continent and create these arbitrary borders. Some of these people have never been to Africa. So they sat there giving away valleys and mountains and lakes and rivers to each other on places they've never even been to. For example, they took a huge chunk and they called it Congo Free State or King Leopold's Congo and gave it to King Leopold as his freeholding. So some of these legacies are still there, these colonial legacies with our borders. That is why two things were very prominent in the post-colonial era. One is secession, where countries, some communities think that we are not part of this country, want to secede and have our own independence. We've seen unsuccessful attempts like the Biafra in Nigeria. We've also seen unsuccessful attempts, Casamas, they tried to secede at some point. We've seen successful attempts like Sudan. South Sudan seceded from Sudan and formed their own state. We've also seen the problem of what they call irredentism, where we say now we want to bring our people together. For example, the Ogaden. The Somalis believe that the Somalis who are living in some parts of Ethiopia should be part of Greater Somaliland. So they went to war with Ethiopia to get those people to join them. So instead of seceding, you want to now acquire, because you believe that the people living in your territory are our people, are our nation, therefore they should come and join us. And some of these wars caused a lot of havoc in the African continent during the post-colonial era.
Okay, so much for the Sahel.
Yes, so we
forum.
move on to the swearing in. The president on Thursday sworn in key public officers. One of them was the Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation of Gambians Abroad, Serigne Modou Njie, who was newly appointed as the Minister of Foreign Affairs. He was sworn in last
and
Thursday.
who seems to be very media friendly.
He is media friendly, and he has promised to come to your platform. I'm not sure when that.
I had him on Monday.
You had him already?
I had him on Monday.
Was it aired? Not yet?
It was. I said Monday. I had him on Monday.
Is it?
Which means that he was on my program on Monday.
Okay, I missed that. I don't know for some reason. I'll go back to the records.
You were only involved with the Tuesday edition.
So the newly chairperson of the Independent Electoral Commission, Mr. Joseph Colley, was also sworn in, together with his deputy or vice, Mr. Cherno Jallo. Also, another commissioner for the Reparations Commission, Ms. Esatu Jame, was also sworn in. So that was a day where and these appointments obviously signals a renewed commitment to institutional integrity, but also good governance. Now, Cabinet convened last Thursday, and one of the key items on the agenda was a paper presented to Cabinet, a strategy. It's called the Gender Mainstreaming and Inclusive Governance Strategy, presented to Cabinet by the Honorable Minister of Gender, Children and Social Welfare, Mrs. Fatou Kinte. Now, basically what this strategy from 2025 to 2024 sought to achieve is to ensure what they call gender mainstreaming, because the minister and our team, and also by extension the whole country, including me, believe that historical injustices and imbalances in society in terms of access to education in particular has put women at the backseat of decision making in most parts of sub-Saharan Africa, and Gambia is no exception. And now to promote and to encourage more women to take leadership roles and to be in top decision-making positions, the Gambia government has accepted the proposal, the strategy, to do what they call affirmative action. So this strategy, what it sought to do is that going forward, government has committed to ensuring that 30% of all board of governor positions, boards of directors, all management positions in the public service, private sector, NGO, civil society should compose of women. It's a progressive...
should compose only of women?
30%.
Yeah, 30%. Make that very clear.
Yeah, 30% should compose. So, for example, if you have 10 people in the board, government must have a commitment to ensure at least 3 women, 30%. And that applies also in the public service. When we looked at the statistics, we realized that it's not very good, even in senior government positions like the PSs. We looked at the PS. I don't have the exact statistics, but women are underwhelmingly represented with DPSs. So government wants to change this to make sure we have more women in the National Assembly, for example. We have only 3 women out of 57, 58 seats. With the governors across the country, with councils, we have only 1 woman mayor, who's the Lohra Malik Law. So we're trying to change this. We want to have more women in key decision-making positions in the Gambia. So this strategy seeks to address that. So Cabinet considered and approved the proposal from the Honorable Minister. Now, another good news, but we discussed this last week, is the extension of biometric passport enrollment in Spain. Almost 600 people have applied for these passports within a very short period. And the public is informed that from Spain, the team will now go to other parts of Europe, particularly so this August they're in Spain, in September they'll be in Italy. And for the cost, it's 120 euros per passport.
Again, we did a lengthy thing on that. We spoke to the commissioner, the immigration commissioner leading the exercise.
Yes.
In Spain, as well as the CEO of AfriCard,
yes,
who are producing the
passport.
The passport, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Now, I think that's it for the updates from government. But in particular, just 2 things. 2 things that came up yesterday, which I think we need to address here, is the situation of Gambians in Tunisia. I've got a lot of calls from people. So, what is the government doing? I just want to inform the public that government is working with IOM, and we are repatriating a lot of Gambians. Every week we bring Gambians back home who want to come back home. The challenge is that...
What's the situation of Gambians in Tunisia for those who are not familiar with their situation?
Some Gambian young people who want to go to Europe use Tunisia sometimes as a transit point, and they get stuck. And when they get stuck, some of them want to come back. And as a government who cares for the welfare of every Gambian, no matter where you are, no matter your situation, we've taken a lot of steps to make sure that we ameliorate their situation. We've sent 2 diplomatic missions from our embassy in Morocco to go to Tunisia to work with them and register these Gambians who want to come back home. And every week, I don't have the correct statistics, but I know every week we are bringing Gambians. But also it's important for us to also inform Gambians to also avoid traveling to countries where they know they don't have papers to stay in. Because when they leave, government doesn't know that they are leaving. And when they got stuck, they want to blame government to say, what is government doing about our situation? I mean, yes, we will do something about it, but also, I think every country has its laws. They have their own migration laws. When you go to a country, make sure that your state is regularized. And some of them don't even have passports or ID cards. They are just there. And when things get tough, you want government to come. Government will come, but also...
So how do you know they are Gambians?
They do a screening of them. They do a screening. We have some of the immigration officers and diplomatic missions are experts in that. By talking to them, doing intense interviews, you'll know who is a Gambian or who's not a Gambian.
Yeah, because given the language mix in the Gambia, Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, sometimes even Mauritania.
But it's easy because our language is unique in terms of the way we speak. Our Wolof is unique. The way we speak our Mandinka is also unique.
Increasingly, Gambians are imitating the Senegalese Wolof as the pure one.
But they cannot perfect it. So I've worked as an interpreter for the Swedish government, for the Scottish government before with migration. And I've done a lot of interviews trying to ascertain sometimes the nationality of some Gambians. And I know the difference. When a Senegalese speaks and a Gambian speaks, I know.
How dangerous is that job? Because, somebody comes, they're Gambian, you know they're Gambian, but they don't want to be identified as Gambian. And you end up saying, hey, Peter, you're in our head.
No, you don't. You don't make an assessment in front of them. So you do the interviews. Then when you are done, you go and write a report and send it to the authorities.
Well, ultimately, if Peter is, nabbed and sent to the Gambia, they will blame Ismaila. It was Ismaila that, assessed them.
Well, a job is a job.
But how dangerous could it be?
It wasn't because they wouldn't know where you are. I don't think they have that capacity to find you where you are. For example, I live in Edinburgh, and I go to Glasgow to do a job, to interpret for someone, and I go back to Edinburgh. That person has better things to think about than coming to look after me in Edinburgh.
Right.
So I think those are the updates. But just also another important update, Peter. And I think there's a lot of talk about government's lack of commitment.
Commitment to what?
To fight corruption.
Okay.
And I think, and many people talk about what are the audit reports, people thinking that they've been swept under the carpet. I just want to give updates for some of the pending audit reports and what's happening, just so the public to know that government is committed. And since the president, His Excellency Adama Barrow, came to power, we've done a lot of reforms, particularly what they call the PFM reforms. That is public finance management.
Okay.
We've done a lot of reforms to manage our public finance. The reason why we've seen a lot of development taking place here, particularly infrastructure developments and other forms of development, is because we've been able to manage our public finances. Remember, now most of our funds, most of our projects are funded from the GLF, that is the government local funds. And it's important for the public to know, if the government wasn't serious in fighting corruption, if there was so much graft in government, we wouldn't have the money to invest in education, healthcare, but also infrastructure. So for the current ongoing special audit assignments, and remember, so most of these assignments are also triggered by government. So government wouldn't trigger audits if we are not serious about fighting corruption. They are triggered by government. The Social Development Fund audit is still ongoing. But remember, there are two issues here, the administrative and the criminal prosecution. So when there is an audit going on, before they were able to build enough evidence to go to court, government takes action. For example, the Social Development Fund, 2 people have been indicted so far. The finance director and the funds manager, they've been sent home, awaiting the completion of the audit and also for possible prosecution
Of the Social Development Fund?
Of course. So with NAWEC also, 2 people have been dismissed and they've been prosecuted, but also the audit is ongoing as well. So it shows how that with actions we've been...
And these 2 people, if you don't want to name them, what positions did they hold?
I think one of them was the finance director. Okay. I don't know the other one. But they, so administrative action has been taken. Gambia Public Printing Corporation, which is under me, the managing director has been sent on administrative leave for the past almost 6 to 8 months. He's not going to work while audit is ongoing. And all
but in the meantime, he's getting his full pay.
I know it's half pay.
Okay.
So the audit is still ongoing. It's almost finished. Then we'll decide what happens later. Now, there's also a current audit on the Central Project Coordination Unit under the Ministry of Finance. So these are the ones ongoing right now. For those that have been finished by the National Audit Office and sent to the IG for prosecution are the Gambia International Airlines. The police have finished their job.
What happened there?
I don't know the specifics. I know that there was an audit, and the audit has raised some red flags, and the case was sent to the IG from the audit to the police for investigation. Police are done with their investigation, and they've sent the file to the AG, Ministry of Justice, for review and for legal advice for possible prosecution. And that also includes the Gambia Ports Authority case, also is currently with the Ministry of Justice.
That is the ratings case.
Yes.
Okay.
Also the IEC, Independent Electoral Commission. The police are also done with their investigation. It's also with the AG chambers for legal advice and review.
The money is deposited into personal accounts rather than the accounts of the IEC.
And some other issues that came up during the audit that were flagged during the audit exercise. The Banjul City Council also is currently with the police are done with their investigation. They forwarded it to the AG chambers for legal advice and for review and legal advice. The City Link EU Banjul Ostend project, the same thing. It's also the police are done with their investigation. It's with the AG chambers for review and legal advice. And also the SWED project is called the Sub-Saharan Africa Women Empowerment and Demographic Dividend Plus project, SWED Plus. The same thing.
Is that also under BCC?
No, that one is under the ministry. I think it's multi-stakeholder, but I know that some of it was under the Ministry of Gender.
Because the Banjul Ostend is BCC.
That one is BCC. Yes. So the SWED also, the police are finalizing their investigations. When they are done very soon, next couple of weeks, they'll send it to the AG chambers for review and also for advice. And then finally, the Brikama District Hospital as well. It's ready. It's also been sent to the AG. EFSTH also is with the police. They're investigating. When they are done, they'll send it. So this is the status of the audits that have been done so far. Those that are currently ongoing, I've mentioned them. Those that have been completed and sent to the police for investigation. Remember, people also have to understand that in a democracy, there is what they call the rule of law. if Ismaila Ceesay is suspected of committing a crime, you don't just arrest him and take him to jail. The basic principle of law is that you are innocent until proven guilty. Now, also, in a democracy, there are 3 arms of government, and each arm plays a particular role in the governance. Now, why we have 3 arms? So there are checks and balances to avoid one arm abusing power. Now, what the executive can do is to investigate through its different arms and prosecute. It's now for the courts to decide the outcome of that case. And we have an independent judiciary, and government cannot be seen to interfere in the work of the judiciary. Now, for our part, what we are doing it. That is, when we support the National Audit Office, do audits. When there are cases of fraud, suspected case of fraud, we push to the police, let them investigate and build evidence. Because if you go to court without strong evidence, even if that person is guilty, the court will free that person. There is this basic principle in law is that rather free 10 guilty men or women than take to sentence one innocent person. Yeah, because that is why sometimes you have a case in court where everybody knows that Peter is guilty, but because the prosecution could not build, the evidences were a bit weak, they are not beyond reasonable doubt. Because the burden of proof is on the prosecution. You who accuse Peter, the burden of proof is on you, and it should be beyond reasonable doubt to prove that Peter is guilty. So if you cannot really bring that evidence, even though he's done it, it's difficult to build a case and have a prosecution. If I find Peter in a room with a knife, blood-soaked, someone lying on the floor dead, we'll say Peter killed him. But Peter can say, I didn't kill the person. They have to go to court and prove that Peter indeed killed that person. So that is the thing.
You remember the classic case of O.J. Simpson.
O.J. Simpson. So that is why people understand that not that government is not committed to fighting corruption. Government wants to make sure that, yes, we are fighting corruption, but within the bounds of the rule of law. We don't just want to be holding people, taking them to mile 2. There must be a process, and that process has to be followed. Look at Trump, for example. His case has been in the US with all its power. Case drags on for many, many, many years. So these cases sometimes can take time. Another cases, I can give you many examples in countries where they have a more stronger legal system. But these cases can take 3, 4, 5 years sometimes. We are not saying that should be the case here. We are doing our best possible to push these cases to make sure that they are concluded, and those people who are found wanting pay for the crime they've committed.
All right. You done?
Yes.
Fantastic, because you have only 10 more minutes. Overnight, I got this for you. Good morning, Uncle Peter. Can you ask the Honorable Minister, Ismaila Ceesay, are there any plans in place to put an end to cash payments to traffic officers after they accuse you of a traffic violation? How can an officer accuse you and make you pay without having a fair trial in a traffic court? We know they pocket most of the money from drivers, and that's a big blow to the revenue of the state. Senior government officials and MPs were all once ordinary citizens like everyone else, so they can't say they don't know that these issues exist.
Now, it depends on the type of infringement. There are infringements that can warrant what they call spot fines, where the police can fine you there and then, but they must give you a receipt. And you have to keep that receipt. Now, if the police fines you for an infringement on the road and didn't give you a receipt, well, it's as much as if you've not paid anything. But you must ensure that they give you a receipt so that you have evidence that you've paid for that particular fine. So, and that receipt should be the Gambia Police Force receipt that they should give you. So if there are police officers out there who receive money from people in the name of fines and not giving them receipts and not accounting for them, that should not be done and is not acceptable.
Good morning, Peter. Can Dr. Ismaila Ceesay produce an official press release to state this information he is saying? To merely sit in front of a mic to list things isn't enough. Let him issue an official statement that citizens can hold the government accountable. Some of the investigations he's saying have been on for years. There are many more he didn't list, and no one is asking the government to arbitrarily arrest anyone for corruption. What we expect government to do is to enforce the law to combat corruption efficiently, effectively, fairly, and transparently.
Well, writing a press release is the easiest of my jobs. We are going to do that. Currently, we are ready.
That's from Adi Jobate, by the way.
Yeah, I know. At the moment
you didn't know.
No, seriously.
Come on.
I knew. But again, like I said, I have named the cases that are currently either under investigation or already. He said there are many more. I would appreciate if he also tells me which ones are those with facts. I'm giving you the facts. These are the cases as far as National Audit Office is concerned. Now, press release is easy. We can write a press release to inform. What we want to do is to inform Gambians of the status of this investigation. We'll even do a press conference to go in detail about all these investigations and the status of these investigations. But he said there are many more. Let him tell us exactly what are those ones that are under the national that were audited by National Audit Office and with the police, and we can add that to our list. But as far as we know, these are the ones that we have.
Good morning, Uncle Peter. The reason bread became expensive after Barrow came to power is because of their own making, especially Barrow himself. During Jammeh's time, Gambia had its own or their own flour making or own flour processing company, and they sold flour to bakers directly from the company. But Barrow, being Barrow, decided to give full rights to his number one sponsor and his company to buy from the Gambian company directly and resell it to the bakers. So this is number one reason that contributed to the increase of flour produced in Gambia. It's just like they always told us, basic food commodities like rice, sugar, oil, and onion and the likes are tax-free at the port, but yet government cannot do anything to regulate the price. This government doesn't care about the living conditions of the citizens as long as the big businesses are putting money in their pockets. But come 2026, will be hunger and difficulties versus Barrow and NPP.
Well, I'm not aware of hunger in this country. Just to start with that. When it comes to the other allegations he's made, that President Barrow single-handedly gave his sponsor
number one sponsor,
which is false as well. President Barrow doesn't own the flour milling factory in the Gambia. He doesn't own it. If the owners of that particular factory give a right to someone to be their sole distributor, that is their decision. That has nothing to do with the government or the president. We don't know. The government doesn't own the flour factory. Now, when it comes to the price of flour itself, we have to understand the raw materials that we use to make flour are not sourced from the Gambia. And we all know that supply chain bottlenecks and some other factors have led to an increase in production costs across the world. So obviously, I think all he's saying are just mere speculation. Let me also inform him that, and I'm going to say this with authority, that we are able to stabilize prices of basic commodities. Now, sugar, in fact, next time when I'm coming, I'll bring a whole list and I give you all the current wholesale and retail prices across all the regions. I have it. I just didn't just analyze it to bring it with me. I wanted to discuss it today, but I couldn't do it. But next week, I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to give you all the basic commodities, rice, sugar, oil, onion, potatoes, and tell you exactly how much they cost now wholesale. And I'll even compare them to how they cost 6 months ago or also 1 year ago to see that prices have gone down. The price of bag has gone, rice has gone down, wholesale has gone down. So it means that retail should also go down.
So rice is cheaper now.
Sugar also has gone down. The price has gone down. So we are not seeing an increase. Like I said, we were able to bring inflation down from 17% to 7.2% within 6 months. And that is reflecting on the retail price as well. So we've collated the data from the Ministry of Trade. And when I come next week, I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to give you all the prices of the basic commodities in terms of both their wholesale, retail, but also in fact how much they cost in Basse, in Mansa Konko, in Brikam, and in Banjul. So what I can confirm is that we are able to stabilize the prices of basic commodities.
Good morning, Uncle Peter. Please ask the Honourable Minister if he has done any findings on the embargo on water service applications by NAWEC as promised. It's been over 2 years since NAWEC announced the embargo.
Yes, I did. I spoke with, because I was a bit skeptical when I just heard it, but I had to find out. Yes, indeed. I think it's because of they have a lot of backlogs. What I was made to understand from NAWEC, that they have a lot of backlogs and they're trying to clear those backlogs. So if you don't clear the backlogs and you start having more applications, you create more problems. So that is why now what they've done is that they've stopped the applications first until they clear the backlogs that were there. Once they clear the backlogs, they'll open up again for people to apply for meters. That is the situation.
And the embargo has been on for how long?
I'm not sure for how long.
Minimum 3 years.
Well, that is unfortunate.
Yeah.
As a government, one of our primary responsibilities is to provide service to the people, and we do that to the best of our ability. But what I can tell you is that the embargo is on to clear a backlog. There was a situation in Nawak, you remember, before Mr. Gallo took over. Now he has taken over Nawak. He's doing a lot of reforms, a lot of work. Now, if you take over an institution that was struggling, that are challenges, before you fix things, sometimes it can take some time. I think we should give him a chance and support him in his drive to reform and make Nawak more effective. Very soon, things will change. We are seeing some changes in that direction. So
you remember the guy who, applied for water for over 3 decades?
Any good news?
Yeah. I mean, he called me the other time and said, they're making huge progress. The water hasn't reached him yet.
Exactly.
But it's much closer than, when he complained.
So these are some of the good things that Gallo is doing at Nawak, and I think we should commend and encourage him.
Good morning, Uncle Peter. I'm still making a follow-up about the tax issue I raised before. Was the minister able to get information from the GRA office? Why is it that private employees pay tax on gross salary, including all allowances, while government employees pay only on the basic salary?
Unfortunately, that skipped me. I didn't make a follow-up on that for some reason, and I had the opportunity to do it because I've spent some time with CG recently. I should have asked him this. But promise, this is going to be one of my most important tasks for this week, to find this out.
Good morning, Peter. If one should observe very well, most of the unfortunate littering happening in this country, especially at Coastal Road and Turntable, is done by foreigners. Why I say this is because most of the people selling in our streets are foreigners. If Gambians can respect the law and avoid places designated as street, why would foreigners feel free to establish businesses everywhere? A country must be governed by laws.
I think as a country, we should not encourage such rhetoric, such statements. What I know is that certain behaviors are, they are, I don't know what word to use, they are not about nationality or tribe or ethnicity or race. It's people who have certain attitudes. So the thinking that only foreigners sell, I also don't agree with that. I buy things from the street, and many people who I buy from on the streets are Gambian. So that statistics, I don't think is correct. What is important is that we need to preach peace, but also preach and sensitize each other to keep our environment clean, no matter who that person is, whether you are a foreigner or not. What is important is that all of us must make sure that we keep our streets clean. Apportioning blame to certain nationalities for the things that are supposed to be done is the council's job. If these people are selling and they are paying their rates and their taxes, it's for the council to come and clean the places where they sell. That is what the discussion should be about, not about apportioning blame to certain nationalities. What is important is that all of us, myself or anybody, let's keep our streets clean, but also let's further encourage the councils to do more work in cleaning the streets.
This will be the last one because it's a minute to 9 o'clock. Good morning, Peter. Kindly ask Dr. Cisse about updates on the GPA and GT board audit reports, which seem to have been brushed under the carpet.
Now, like I said, the GPA audit report is not brushed under the carpet. Specifically, the GPA audit report is completed. And then it was completed on the 5th of March 2025 and is sent to the AG chambers for legal advice. So it is not brushed under the carpet. People need to understand that government has no intention or no interest in brushing aside certain cases. For what? What would we gain from it? No. But like I say, it has to follow its logical process. And it's following that process. Now, I understand there has been a back and forth between the police and the AG. The police will be done with their investigations, send it to AG for review. And that's why I say send it for review and legal advice. AG will review the police's investigations. That they give legal, whether this is strong enough to get a that is what the AG does, to advise whether if we go on and prosecute, do we have a case in court? And if the AG chambers realize that there are still some gaps, they have to send it back to the police to say, fix X, Y, Z. And that back and forth can take time. What we want is, any case we take to court, there's a conviction. It's not just about taking the case to court. You can take 1 million cases to court and you lose everything. It's still counterproductive. That is why the AG and the police are doing a meticulous job to ensure that whatever they take to the courts, the outcome will be a prosecution. A conviction. And that is important. That is why this case is taking this long time, because they are trying to build a very strong case to make sure. You see, sometimes getting evidence in certain finance cases, if you understand, can be difficult. And we need to take our time and make sure that we get the evidence strong. So when we go to court, there's a conviction. The case is not brushed under the carpet.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Cisse.
Okay, good.
Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Axel James Wave.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do dede. Luta mënuloo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello?
Bësal mu fay.
What?
Bësal mu fay.
Oh, yes!
Wave Axina Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. Ak Wave. Bësal mu fay. Wave. Your money is yours.